So I'm going to write out here what my equations were for reference angle. So I'll put Q for quadrant, or I'll just write quad for quadrant, and then I'll write reference angles. Okay, in quadrant 1, it was just T. In quadrant 2, it was pi minus T. In quadrant 3, it was T minus pi. And in quadrant 4, it was 2 pi minus T. Okay? Now, some people say, how do I figure out what quadrant I'm in? Okay? So, I'll say again from the outside of the circle, if this is 0 or 2 pi, okay, up here, we said was pi over 2, which you can look at as being 1/2 pi. Down here is pi, which you can look at as being 1 pi. And down here, it was 3 pi over 2, which you can look at as being 3/2 pi. So a lot of people have trouble with the pi, okay? So what you need to think about is take away the pi, okay? If I take away the pi, if I'm between 0 and 1/2 pi, I'm in quadrant 1. If I'm between 1/2 pi and 1 pi, I'm in quadrant 2. If I'm between 1 pi and 3/2 pi, or 1.5, I'm in quadrant 3. And if I'm between 3/2 pies and 2 pi, I'm in quadrant 4. Why is this helpful? Okay, I'm going to show you right now. Let's say they give you a problem and they say, okay, find the reference number or reference angle for 5 pi over 7. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look at 5 over 7. Okay? 5 over 7. Is 5 over 7 between 0 and 1/2?
No.
No. Is it between 1/2 and 1?
Yeah.
So I'm in quadrant 2. So now I know I'm in quadrant 2, so I'm going to look back here and I'm going to say, okay, quadrant 2 says pi minus t, so I'm going to say pi minus 5 pi over 7. That's going to give me 7 pi over 7 minus 5 pi over 7, which is what? 2 pi over 7. That's how you find the reference number. Now, now I'm going to show you a trick too. The ones that we use all the time are for pi over 3, pi over 6, and pi over 4. And there's a trick to them. It doesn't matter what number is on top. So no matter what number is on top, the reference numbers for these will always be pi over the bottom number. So if they ask you what's the reference number, find the reference number. 5 pi over 4? What is that? Pi over 4. Real easy. You don't have to actually do the work. If you want to do the work, you could say, okay, 5 over 4. 5 over 4 is a little bit more than 1, so it'd be between 1 and 3/2 pi. So that's quadrant 3. That means in quadrant 3 I do t minus, in quadrant 3 it's t minus pi, so I can say, okay, 5 pi over 4 minus pi is the same thing as 4 pi over 4, which gives me pi over 4.
The bottom number is always the quadrant.
4, pi over 3, pi over 6, and pi over 4 only. But luckily these are the ones that we use all the time, so it helps us out. So why do they want you to do this? The reason is it helps you find terminal points. Instead of memorizing all the points around the circle, you only have to memorize the ones in the first quadrant. We'll talk about this a little more tomorrow.